Hey, good morning, everybody. John here with FNP Wargamers. This is the FNP Morning Show. Well, man, we got stuff to talk about today. Not so much about new releases, but what's coming down the line. Prediction. So much that I'm not even going to really go into too much of what you guys have already seen on Warhammer community page. I'm going to do it just out of habit, just out of consistency's sake. But then we're going to get into what's coming down the line and, make some predictions. All right, first, let's take a look. We want to keep that for later. And Age of Sigmar players out there, I'm not glazing this over, but there's a lot of other things afoot that relate to Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000 with Games Workshop in general. So I'm not dismissing it, but Lumineth Realm Lords has been covered for months. So I'm not going to go too much into today's article, but it is really definitely an awesome article that you guys can look over at your leisure. And it concerns the Stoneheart King kit that's coming out. We still don't know the price, but with tech list being $170, I imagine this is probably, like I said on Monday's show, probably going to be $150 to $170. Or maybe even $140. Now that I look at this at the amount of plastic, look at the size of the model, maybe $140, but let's just go with $150. We can go plus or minus a comfortable amount. I do like that they're showing off the detail, the backside of the model. We get to see some more of the detail up close. The model is definitely impressive. It's not on my list to get, but it's definitely impressive. Now, I've not had a chance to go through the Lumineth Realm Lords Battle Tome. I've actually got a copy. It's sitting on my coffee table just waiting for me to go through. But I've got so much product to review and working on videos for Havoc Maker Studio and the RPG I'm writing. I have not gotten to. Heck, I haven't even. This will surprise some of you. I haven't even looked at the 9th edition Warhammer 40,000 rulebook yet. That's been out since July? We've known the rules since before then. It's still sitting out there waiting for me to crack through it. Haven't even done that yet. Been so behind on commission painting, writing, and doing reviews. So I'm not skimping out on it. I know Ski would normally handle this, but he is on hiatus for a period of time. So I'm going to try to very poorly fill his shoes because the guy is like smack on. Like he knows it in and out, and he can do a much better job explaining the rules and explaining how effective the units are going to be than I can. So you guys will have to do with the poor man's review in the very near future. Anyways, so this article is not saying, hey, this is how awesome this model is in the game. It's more about, hey, this is what you're getting out of the model kit. You're going to be able to make all three of those models. Well, not out of one kit, but you'll be able to choose one of three. And then there's going to be tons of leftover bits. And I tell you, some of these bits in here are going to be choice bits. I would not be surprised if a lot of these hammers start popping up. I mean, that right there is a two-handed hammer. So I don't expect, it's the hammerhead is what I'm looking at. That's what I'm trying to say is what I think we're going to see. So look for people going, hey man, you bought that kit. What are you going to do with those extra hammerheads? Can I have those? And those are going to start popping up. Just like the, oh gosh. Let me backtrack here. Those new models. That's all I could say. The new Lumineth Realm Lord models that have the double, I keep saying double, two-handed hammer. Let's see if we can find it real quick. No, there we go. The Will of the Mountain article. Not you guys. There we go. The Alarith Stone Guard. The guys with the fancy hats. All right, so how many of these hammers are going to be left over in the kit? Because there's the double hammer there's the single hammer for like the banner bearer and probably the musician, and then of course the two-handed hammer for the troops. But there's also another weapon in that kit. I think the back end is a hammer, the other end is like a looks like stone or crystal spike. I mean, big old hawking thing. So how good is that weapon versus the hammer? And the reason why I bring that up is if it's not all that, if this pike is better than the hammer, then that means there's going to be a lot of hammer bits floating around out there. And those hammer bits are great for thunder hammers. So I can see those making their way to Warhammer 40,000. I mean, people that I know play Lumineth Realm Lords, I'm waiting for them to get those to go, hey man, what are you doing with those bits? Either of those weapon bits. I don't care which one. I'll find a use for either one that they don't use. So expect a call. All right. So anyways, that's coming down. That's awesome. We're very happy about that. We're going to refresh the news page to see if there's any update, because like I said many times before, and I'll say it many times in the future, Games Workshop, being they, fail to alert me when they update whatever the news article is. They never send me, hey John, just give you a heads up, this is what we're going to be putting up if you want to prep to talk about it. I have to wait as it's loaded. I understand they're very busy, and who am I? But maybe someday we'll sync up. I'm just kidding, by the way. All right, so one last thing before we get into what's coming down the line and predictions and whatnot. Sorry about the slurping, especially those of you who have headphones. I'm dehydrated after a very exhausting workout, and I'm trying to, and I've got like a pre-workout headache going on here. I might actually have to go run again, do some extra, not again, but go run, just try to bleed off some of this energy. Thanks to Spiky Bits, and I'll put the link for this in the description for those of you that are on YouTube. This will be up on our Facebook page as well. Z-Axis Hobbies has an amazing, for those of you that have 3D printers, whether PLA or resin, a variety of industrial bases that basically files that you can sit there and let's see if I can make my screen a little bit bigger. Is that going to help? That does not help too much, because there we go. At any rate, here's an example of what the file will look like. You'll be able to fit them on trays, especially if you have those table warfare cases. These will basically, you can 3D print not only the bases, but the pre-cut terrain that they sit on. So you can have this very dynamic looking base. Back in the day, we had to use like routing tools to basically get a tray and put a thin metal sheet underneath, right? And then put another thin MDF board on top and carve out or trace out where we wanted our models. Before we even started doing the terrain on the display board, the carrying board, whatever you want to call it, and magnetize it and everything, then we had to sit there, cut all that out, and then match the terrain with the bases to go into each of the slots, and then magnetize those slots with washers and thin magnets or heavy magnets. It was a pain in the butt. Now we have an STL file here, and I'm probably going to invest in it. They're looks like it'd be about $5 a piece, but when you can get that right there, and you don't get that tray. That tray, like I said, is from I believe it's Tabletop Warfare cases. I've got one in the other room, or Tablewar. At any rate, they've got these trays that you can sit your models on, and you can magnetize them, whatnot, and they fit in a very small case. In fact, let me go grab my case so you can see. Now, I don't have any trays in it right now, but this is the case. Whoops. Tablewar. It's got a whole bunch of slots on the inside that you can put trays of different sizes depending on your army. I've carried over 60 models in this case, an entire 2,000 point Space Marine army. And it's got latches on the side for a front cover that's see-through. It's got latches, locks, all the works. I think this is a medium-sized case. At any rate, that tray that those models are sitting on and the terrain piece that the models are sitting on, that's sitting on the tray, that's the style of tray that slides in. And so that gives you a lot of... You guys can end up making a pretty cool display board for that. So I'm going to probably buy at least one of these. They do have a variety of them to choose from. I'll probably go with one of the 32 millimeter. Here's another example. I mean, dude, that's awesome. To me, that's awesome. Let's see what it says here. Get rid of that advertisement. Why can't we see what it's saying? There we go. Actual file may have different number and size of bases. Okay, so you have to make sure you get the right size. Still, that's not too bad for those of you with 3D printers of whatever variety. The price on this was, I think, $5. Not too bad, man. That's 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 10 models. That's a 10-man squad of Space Marines or 2 5-man squads. God, man, that's awesome. That's nothing. So I'll make sure that link is in the description on the YouTube upload and over on FNP Wargamers main page, Facebook page. All right, let's do one more refresh. Nope, nothing else. I think we're done with the articles today. So let's talk about what's coming down the line for Games Workshop in general, and then I'll focus on Warhammer 40,000. So, if you have not noticed, since about sometime last year, I forget when, but they started doing these preview shows. And this year, we've been, mainly because of the pandemic that's been going on, we've been just getting hit left and right and uppercut, jab, 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 with them throwing out preview upon preview upon preview shows, like pretty almost once a month, and which has been great because we get to see, hey, this is what's coming down the line. They haven't been too full on content. It's more of a live advertisement for them, which, I mean, makes sense, but they're not really giving us any real substance to what they're talking about. We're just kind of like, oh, cool, new models, yay, which we're going to see anyways, but cool, we get to see it now. New books, yay. So, I mean, it is, I'm not downplaying the previews. I just wish there was a little bit more substance to these previews than what we're getting, and that's what we're going to get into. So let me pull up my notes here. I've got some notes around here. All right, so let's talk about some of these releases. So coming down the line with, I think it was last year that we saw it begin. Might have been this year. I think it was last year. Necromunda, I think, and I really think that this is what they did. Knowing Games Workshop practices, having been an employee there and following their practices over the years, they still managed to surprise us. But I feel and think that what they did last year with the roadmap for Necromunda was a test bed for what we're going to be getting for Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000. I think it was a test run. Now, was it successful test run? I don't know. And by that, what I mean is they laid out, hey guys, here is our roadmap for Necromunda. So first up is House Goliath, and you got to see an image of their codex. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're calling it their codex or their gang book or whatever. And we knew that there's going to be a new miniature expansion for them from Games Workshop and from Forge World. And then we saw 3 others were laid out. We already know that the one that dropped earlier, I think this month or last month, was House Escher. We knew that was coming, and House Orlok, and we know we're assuming we know Bansar is next. Now, why that is significant is that might be the template for what we will see later on down the line for Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000. Well, I shouldn't say later on down the line. We might be seeing that sooner rather than later. Now, it all depends on how successful having those optics, having it out there so people can see it and kind of get excited about it. Like, oh, what's that? Adeptus Custodes, 2 months down the line after Space Marines. Dude, I'm in. Now, the reason why they might hold off on that is probably one of the biggest reasons. Well, several reasons. It hinders their sales. If they say, hey guys and gals, 3 or 4 months down the line, we've already got the next roadmap for the next 4 codexes. Let's say we count these 2 Necrons of Space Marines on the screen, and then the next 2 codexes after that. This is our roadmap for the next 4 codexes. Well, that stops people from buying what's available, the first things that are available. So you might only play Custodes, but Games Workshop doesn't want you waiting to save your money to buy a product later on down the line. They want you spending money now. Don't save your money, spend it now, and then you'll have money later, spend it then. So spend now, spend later. All at the same, just, keep spending. Just keep spending money. And that's kind of their around their kind of marketing scheme, I guess. I hate saying scheme, but marketing, that they don't want you waiting for future releases. They want you buying the best models in the world. That's what they do, is they make the best miniatures in the world, and they sell them globally at a profit. And they do. I mean, that's quite obvious. Even this last year, they got the end of their fiscal year got hit by the pandemic, and they still made a 70 million pound profit, down 10 million from last year, but going into this next year, I imagine they're going to be up. But they want you to keep buying as you go, even if it's just a little bit. Don't save. Their philosophy is that people aren't sitting there buying armies to play necessarily the games. They're buying the models to collect, to add to their collection, because we are collectors. We are hobbyists. We are not gamers first. We're collectors. We're hobbyists. We want the cool model. We want the shiny model for our collection. And which is partially true. How many times have you or other people have said, oh my God, I don't play that army, but I want that model. I'm going to get that model. I know I've said it dozens of times. And that is that philosophy that Games Workshop capitalizes on. So them putting out a major roadmap of, hey guys, here's all of our codexes for the next year. Likely not going to happen. I can see them maybe doing the 4. But the reason why I bring this up is Games Workshop is making some changes to how they reveal information out there. They've been clamping down on our sources, especially here in the US. I know over in the UK, they got a little bit better connection. They might even live right around the corner from them. But since the pandemic has been going on, and all the social distancing, people working remotely, all that flow of rumors and leaks has has turned to a slow drip, a very slow, annoying drip. You can hear it while you're trying to sleep at night. You know that there's a drip in the sink, and no matter how tight you turn those handles, it's there. So you're going to have to call a plumber the next day. It's very annoying. Then you have to listen to that drip, drip, drip. You homeowners, you probably know what I'm talking about. So, I think I just got sidetracked. I did get sidetracked. Crap. what? Let me just jump back on here. So what they need to do is, man, I really just got sidetracked there. So they do have a problem. I'll just skip whatever I was trying to say. Let's go into what GW's problem is. There's a lot of apathy towards the slow trickle of, or the slow feeding, slow dripping of product coming down the lines. Hey, we just announced Necrons and Space Marines. Yay! Now, all the other players out there, especially Eldar, Imperial Guard, those two right there alone are, let's see, keep this PC, are searching for any clues as to when they're going to be getting new models, new codex, and be up on par with everybody else rules-wise, which GW doesn't really care about. But they want to know when they are going to get their big release. Or whatever your particular army or armies. You know, these days, I think most people have 2 to 3 armies instead of just one, unless you're just starting out. But you're waiting for your army to come out, and it's like, okay, what's going to be the reveal? What's going to be the reveal? Here we go. What's going to be? Oh, it's not mine. So I don't care. And it's really kind of a kick in the junk for players, especially when they have to wait 2 years. Looking at Eugene Steeler, Colts, I think it was you that had to wait 2 years to get your codex release. Games Workshop has been very bad, especially the 8th edition, when they said, hey, we're going to be cranking out all these codexes and we're going to get them out as fast as possible. And it took 2 years for them to get. I understand they got other product, but it took them 2 years to get all that product out. Such a shame. And then, but they turn around with Age of Sigmar, and it might have been a test run. I've talked about it before, where Age of Sigmar, they'll crank out 2 battle tomes at a time, approximately, and they'll release it with a box set, some new miniatures, and terrain piece, war scroll cards or data cards, whatever you want to call it. Maybe, as I've been predicting and hinting at and getting some little whispers that's going to be happening, that's what we're going to be seeing with Warhammer 40,000. It was so successful with Age of Sigmar that those boxes were getting sold out day one. And if you manage to find one on like Amazon or at some rinky-dink store in the middle of Kansas, that's like, it's a 3-hour drive to the middle of nowhere to get it, you were very fortunate. So if they do that with Warhammer 40,000, hey guys, here's this box. You get a great deal, $160. You get 2 armies, Necron, Space Marines. I'm just using them as an example. Necron, Space Marines. We're going to put out 2 new codexes at the same time with a special edition codex if you want to get that instead for $80, double the price for no particular reason. For a fancy cover. Here's your data cards, and inside that box is 2 new characters plus the new models that we're putting out. So it's actually extremely ideal for them to do this. One of the predictions that I have, and I'll just go ahead and jump forward with this to tie this in, is that one of the whispers I have is that the Adeptus Custodes were supposed to be one of the first armies released with 9th edition. It wasn't. It was Space Marines, but that makes sense. One of the first codexes released with 9th edition, so it does fit in there, would be the Adeptus Custodes. We might be seeing that, according to one of my whispers. It's an alright source, about 50-60% of the time they're right. But alongside them will be the Death Guard and or Chaos Space Marines. I'm not sure. They said CSM and DG, so that to me says Death Guard and Chaos Space Marines. But there's been whispers. Some of you might have heard that Chaos Space Marines are going to be getting the Space Marine treatment, and that there will be one book to rule them all, like the Codex Space Marines coming out, that will have all the Legion traits, all the warband traits or whatever they're called inside the book, just like there's all the Codex or the first founding chapters in the Space Marine Codex. but they will have supplements later on that enhance them, like the Space Marine supplement for Ultramarines, White Scars, the future ones of Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and whatnot. Those are going to be mimicked by Chaos Space Marines. So you'll have, not Iron Legion. Gosh darn it. I can't think of the name, the Sons of Perturabo. Well, I'm just going to go to World Eaters, Night Lords, for example. Those all will be getting their own supplements. If the Iron Warriors, that's it. That's the rumor right now, is that they are going to get that same treatment. It's a weak rumor, but it is a rumor. And if I get any more traction on it, or if we get whispers of it, man, we're going to report the poop out of it. Now, why all this ties in is it would be very satisfying for us as consumers to be seeing, okay, they're not doing one codex every other month or one codex a month. They're going, hey, every month there's a double codex release. No new model kits, okay, for most of the armies, because most armies have already gotten updated. Eldar, Imperial Guard, you're going to get something later on. I think there's definitely a new Imperial Guard, actual Guardsman kit that'll be both male, female, updated Cadian Guard range. Whispers that there's a Catachin coming, but I think that Catachin one is kind of, as I dial back, centers around people are thinking, well, we've got that new miniature coming, and we had that Colonel that came out, so they're probably going to be doing Catachin. They might. I don't know. I don't know, guys. It would be very surprising if they did Catachin and Cadian, but very likely that they're going to make one or more of those. Those kits need to be updated, just like almost the entire Eldar range. Almost, especially all but the Banshee and Dire Avenger kits need to be updated. I imagine even the Dire Avengers are going to get updated. Anyways, so this could be very good for the community, get a little bit more confidence and less apathy towards Games Workshop, and really kind of cut down on the people being poopy pants, if you will. Poopy pants towards, oh, great, Space Marines just got something else. Oh, great, Necron's got something. But it's really, focus on Space Marines, because it's always Space Marines' fault. If they do this, then they're going to be seeing double releases. Even if it's every other month, which basically comes down to one codex a month if you were to spread it out. But it'll feel like an accelerated release schedule. If you do this for most of those armies that have full range of models, and you only have to maybe update one or two kits. Since they're not going to be cranking out a lot of terrain kits, they can go, hey, here's a new HQ choice. Here's a new unit choice. You're getting your codex and data cards also for these two armies. Let's say Custodes and Death Guard, for example. Custodes, Death Guard, you're going to get all this, 2 sets of models each, codex, data cards, and there's going to be a box set released alongside of it. And that one of those miniatures, usually an HQ choice, will be in that box. And that's going to be the only way you can get it for probably 4 to 6 months if it holds up, like on average, that we see happening. So what I'm basically getting to is that Games Workshop needs to, as a suggestion really, they need to adjust how they reach out to you, how they reach out to the community, you and I, and address this very slow release schedule. I mean, they basically wait an entire edition to get every unit, every codex out. And by the time they get everything out, they release a new edition. And then it's like, well, now we have to wait for another one. So it's a horrible cycle, and it's probably going to backfire very soon. So let's get on to what they're going to be talking about this week with the previews. So we can move on, and you guys can enjoy the rest of your day. So as I've talked about before, and you guys have probably seen that there's another preview, the Codex show, this Saturday, and I'm going to be covering it at 7:45. Start at 7:45 a.m. It's actually going to kick off at 8 a.m. Central Time for me, and that's what I'm going to be reviewing. We're going to be just doing a live reaction. We're probably going to see some new miniatures that we haven't seen yet. There's a Space Marine captain out there. There's still a Necron character we have not seen yet. So we know that there's going to be some new model kits, and we're going to see the codexes. And one of my predictions is that we're not going to see just a Space Marine Ultimate Collector's Edition like we will see, we usually see. I think there's going to be a Necron as well. That's my prediction. We're going to see 2 collector's editions. They're probably going to be about $200 a piece. They're going to come with coins and metal objective markers and all sorts of knickknacks and doodads to make it worth that $200. I already mentioned that we'll probably see some new characters for both or new models. My hope, I can't say it's a prediction, but my hope is that we'll see a new box for the Eradicator, the Eradicators and or the Suppressors. The reason why I say Eradicators, because we know that there was some design or some concept art for the Eradicators with grav guns, and we know that there is a captain coming out with a combi grav gun or bolt rifle grav gun. So we know that this is possible, and he was in at least what looked like grav armor, and that concept art for those grav guns was the Gravis armor. Gravis armor. Is it going to happen? No idea. I'm hoping so. And the reason why I throw suppressors in there is because they don't have a box set yet. They have that kind of a stripped down in between. It's like Gravis Light. Gravis armor Light. The regular Gravis armor is what you see with the Gravis Captain and the Aggressors, and the light version right now is the Suppressors. So they don't have the heavy upper armor, but they do got the shockproof boots and everything. So something along the Eradicator lines, and it would be, I think, ideal that you could smash those 2 boxes together. Sell it as a box of 3 models in there with the option of the Eradicators or the Suppressors. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing I am thinking is we're going to see a little bit more on the terrain pieces, that Necron plinth and the Hellstorm or whatever, that drop pod weapon battery that for the Space Marines. So those are my predictions right now for that. Now on the tail end of this, I think they're gonna be like, well, that takes care of our preview, right, Stu? And they'll be like, well, Ben, if it's Stu and Ben, or if Jeremy's in there, they'll be like, hey, whoa, what's coming down the line? We might see future codexes, like I was talking about at the very beginning of this episode, that we might see the roadmap for future releases. We might not be able to figure out. We might not be able to see which codexes are coming down the line or codex supplements, but we'll see 4 to 5 books. We'll have a timeline of their what months or quarter they're going to be released in, and we might see a symbol in the background, all silhouetted, so we won't be able to see all the super details, but we might be able to figure it out. I think that's what's going to happen. And we also, I'm hoping that happens. I'm going to give it about a 25-30% chance of happening. I think we're going to have a higher chance of seeing them announce Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and Dark Angel codex supplements for the Space Marine Codex, as those 3 chapters are no longer going to have their own separate rule book. They're actually going to be all under the umbrella of the Codex Space Marines like everybody else. They'll get a supplement later on, like they've already said. I don't know, I can't remember if Death Watch is involved in that. If it is, fantastic. But I feel like Death Watch and definitely not Grey Knights, but Grey Knights will probably have their own separate books. Well, we know they will. So I think we have probably about a 60-75% chance. I know it's a big range for Space Wolves, Blood Angel, Dark Angel, Codex Supplement announcement, and probably 25-30% chance of, a roadmap for future Codex releases. So I know it's not the greatest predictions, but it's all we've got. like I said before, the information coming out of GW from our sources have been, just bone dry and just not a good sign. Now, I don't know if that means that they've been clamping down. Is it a sign of the shutdown and lockdown that they've been having, and it's a lot easier for them to now kind of pick up on who is releasing information because everybody's working from home? Maybe, I don't know. And we're just going to roll with it. But I'm going to leave you with this last thing. I firmly believe that Games Workshop is going to be readjusting how they present future product. If you've not paid attention, they've been doing a lot of changes on social media. We've been getting a lot of these previews here. They've been doing previews that have not shown up on their Warhammer community page, but show up on their Facebook page, or shows up on Warhammer TV on Instagram, or their Warhammer community page on Instagram. That's, we now have to like search everywhere because there are some previews that are not showing up here. They're showing up elsewhere. And I think that they're doing a big shift in how they present stuff, because other companies are killing it in regards to, hey guys and gals, 6 months from now, here's our release window for the next 6 months, and people get excited. So I don't know. It's hard because I think there's still some of that ingrained. We've got to keep it close to the chest. We don't want our customers saving their money to buy what they want later on when it comes out. We want them buying stuff right now, whether it's the normal army or not. You don't play Space Marines, but Space Marines have been getting all this love, and now it's tantalizing. You don't know when you're going to get something new. So why don't you come over and buy Necrons and Space Marines, because they just came out with a whole new range of models and codexes. It is smart marketing, but it's old marketing, and I think they need to adjust it, and they might be doing it. All right, so enough of me running my mouth. So tonight, Havoc Maker Studio, we're going to be working on there's my link for my other channel. We're going to be working on something, I don't know yet. Probably Carcharodons, and I've got some cool mini or not models that we're still cranking through, and probably some French Indian War models, or French Indian War historicals. So I don't know what we're going to work on. I'll probably leave a little bit of time in the middle of the show to give everybody an opportunity. If you have any questions like, hey man, could you paint this? Could you do show us how to do this? Or what do you think about this? Give a little Q&A time and maybe some demos. Do my best to do a demo for you all. All right, so my name is John. This is FNP Wargamers, FNP Morning Show. Hope you like the predictions. Leave down in the comments what you think. Give it a like, subscribe. You know what to do, guys and gals. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you tonight, 7:30 p.m. on Havoc Maker Studio.